Jets, Jets. The New York Jets have their first win. Welcome into the show. Welcome into the Swank Tank. It is episode 18. It is Monday night, October 27th. It's almost spooky time. And the Jets getting a win against, mind blown. I'm mind blown. The Jets get their first win of the season. The last team to get their first win of the season in Cincinnati. Wow. No better way to kick off the show than just leading with a little Jets, Jets. Really appreciate you being here. As always, welcome to the Swank Tank. I'm your host, Ryan Swantkowski. We have a fantastic show for you tonight, as always. Full Week 8 preview. I'll be honest, Week 8 was probably the worst week of NFL football so far. A lot of blowouts. We only had one game, as Monday Night Football is currently happening, by the way, to my right. We got a little Patrick Mahomes versus Marcus Mariota, a little 2017-2018 throwback game, it feels like. Kansas City should probably roll. Regardless of that. Week 8, it wasn't great. It was not great. A lot of blowouts. The noon slate was pretty boring besides that Jets game. The 3 o'clock window was very boring as all the second halves of those games were over. And Sunday Night Football was good. We'll get into that later. But we got a full Week 8 preview nonetheless. Full Week 8 review and analysis. We'll dive into every game and go over some big-time plays, some big-time players, some big-time moments, and some big-time takeaways. Full Week 8 review. Alongside of that, we got the top 5 most confusing teams in the NFL. I'll rank 5 through 1. Number 1 being my most confusing team for the 2025 season so far. After that, we'll finish up with Swanks Banks. I had a rough Swanks Bank week. That's okay. We're still above 500. That's okay. Rough week for the bets. Rough week for the FanDuels. Look, you can't win them every time. You can't. But we're way above 500 on straight up winners. We're above 500 on bets still. Everything's okay. We're still floating. We're above floating. We're still driving. We're in command of the ship. But we do got to steer it back on track. All of that and more on this episode 18 of the Swank Tank. Really appreciate you being here. As always, make sure and go and follow on all the socials, whether you're subscribing on YouTube, leaving a review and following on Spotify and TikTok and Instagram, hitting the follows there. Appreciate all the support and all of the comments I've been getting on recent videos. Really do appreciate it more than you know. So go make sure to follow on all those channels. We've got some great content continuing to roll out as we're not even halfway through the season. We're just before the halfway mark as this Monday Night Football game rolls on. And without further ado, let's get into our Week 8 review. Let's get it. Our season record has moved to 77-43. We were 8-4 in Week 8 so far. Again, Monday Night Football happening as I speak to my right. 8-4 though, in straight up picks. That's not bad at all. Like I say every week, we take that. I believe my worst week has been 9-7. So we have not had a losing week just on straight up picks, straight up winners. 8-4 so far in Week 8. Moves us to 77-43. Continue to climb. We continue to climb up. Too bad my Swanks Banks didn't do that this week, but that's okay. We'll touch on that later. Going into the first game of Week 8, Thursday Night Football, the Vikings at Chargers. Vikings fall to 3-4. Chargers move to 5-3. Chargers win 37-10. This game was close for about 5 minutes. Herbert had a pick 6 that then got called back, got called incomplete, which completely changed the rest of the game. I don't know if the result really would have been altered. I think the Chargers had this game regardless. Nonetheless, though, big swing momentum play right there, kind of out the gate. That did not go the Vikings' way. Herbo, 3 touchdowns and 1 interception and 62 rush yards. He had a fantastic game as expected. That Vikings defense has been all over the place this year. Secondary has been worse than people expected, at least for me. Herbo, great game there. Wentz got ragdolled in this game. He had 144 yards, 1 tutty, 1 pick. And now his season is over, sadly. Speedy recovery and prayers up to Carson Wentz. Shoulder surgery, if I'm not mistaken. If you watched that game on Thursday night, you would understand how he got injured, how he is injured, why he needs surgery. He was grimacing after every throw, it seemed like, in the second half. In wincing, it was just not good. It was an ugly performance from the Minnesota Vikings. both offensively and defensively. Vikings had 34 rush yards. 34 rush yards. Hey, but don't worry, they got Aaron Jones back. They had 34 total rushing yards. They also gave up 5 sacks. Gadsden, tight end, over there on the Chargers, the rookie tight end, I believe from Syracuse, 5th-round pick, if I'm not mistaken, getting a lot of volume, getting a lot of work. Gadsden and Ladd combined for 165 yards and 2 touchdowns. Vidal in this game, 117 yards and a touchdown. On all fronts, pure domination here. Minter, the DC for the Chargers, had these boys ready to go out the gate. Defensive line was getting home, getting a lot of pressure on Wentz, making him feel very flustered. Justin Jefferson had a game in Justin Jefferson territory where good volume, a lot of targets, good amount of catches, just didn't find the end zone with Carson Wentz at the helm. I mean, just Chargers here got back to form as expected. That's all there really was to it. It was a blowout from 6 minutes into the game. Vikings continue to be very inconsistent. Very. And you can't blame them. Injuries with Aaron Jones. Offensive line has been very poor this year. McCarthy's in, McCarthy's out. Wentz is in, Wentz is out. A lot of moving pieces. With the Minnesota Vikings so far this season. McCarthy's the guy now. He's healthy. He's ready to go. Wentz out for a season. Hopefully McCarthy can stay healthy and see if he can steer that ship back in the right direction for Minnesota. Chargers win 37-10 in a much-needed way. We move on to the noon slate. Look at that. You go from a Thursday night football game straight into a noon football game. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing to see. You didn't have to get up at 8 a.m. to watch some very mid-game be played in Dublin or London. We like that. We needed a break from the abroad games, and we got it here. Which is very, very nice. The 49ers fall to 5-3. They lose to the Texans. Texans move to 3-4. Texans win 26-15. CJ Stroud, 318 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Mac Jones, 193, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. 2 major keys here for this game. There's 2 of them. First one, the Texans' time of possession. Do you know what the Texans' time of possession was in this game? It might be the most lopsided time of possession of the season. If it's not number 1, it's definitely up there in the top 3 or top 5 for teams dominating TOP in a game. They had over 41 minutes of possession in their win. 41 minutes they had the ball. More than 2/3 of the game, the Texans not only held on the ball, pushed the ball down the field, found the end zone multiple times here. For an offense that's been struggling tremendously in finding the end zone, putting together consistent drives, along with those offensive line issues, they did a fantastic job against the 49ers defense that, yes, they have a lot of injuries, but overall can still play, can still fly around. They got some dogs over there, and C.J. Stroud, D'Amico Ryans, Nick Haley had a fantastic game plan. They stuck to it. Stroud only took a few deep shots down the field. When he did, though, he was accurate. Texans defensively didn't give up anything big whatsoever, kept everything in front of them, got a turnover when they needed to ice the game. Great game plan and great execution by the Houston Texans in this one. As you can see from the TOP, that was part of the plan. Almost 42 minutes of possession in a 60-minute game is very impressive. And it's what this Texans team needs to do to continue to stack wins with an offense that they have. Their defense can obviously not only keep them in any game, but also win them some games. If the offense can just put together these meticulous drives that eat up clock, that will very much benefit them down the stretch of this season. They get a much-needed win here. TOP was 41 minutes. Second key, Stroud was sacked 0 times. Texans held onto the ball for over 41 minutes in this game, and CJ Stroud was sacked 0 times. That is a beautiful recipe for success in Houston for D'Amico Ryans, CJ Stroud, and company. You do that every game with that defense flying around like they were. They can make some noise. They really could. All about offensive line and play calling consistency. They did this without Nico Collins. Very impressive and solid win for the Houston Texans. McCaffrey, on the flip side for the Niners, 68 total yards in this game. Mac Jones was okay. They just lacked some energy. You could tell the injuries in this game kind of got to him a bit. You could tell they came out flat. They really did. They came out flat, and it's hard to get back in the game again when the Texans are controlling the ball like that. It's really hard to build momentum when you don't got the ball offensively. So Texans did their job on all three phases. 49ers are going to be absolutely okay. They're 5-3. They're still needing to get some pieces back. Obviously, with Purdy maybe playing this week, Pearsall still needs to come back. Kittle had a touchdown in this game. He's looking healthy. That's good news for them. They'll be fine. Hard game on the road. Still very much dinged up. Not a bad loss for them. Niners move to 5-3. Texans move to 3-4. And now we shift over to two games I absolutely have been looking forward to talking about all day long. The Miami Dolphins traveling to take on the Atlanta Falcons. Dolphins get the win. They move to 2-6. The Falcons fall to 3-4, and it was a freaking blowout. Dolphins blow out the Falcons. They win 34-10. Tua, 205 yards and 4 touchdowns. No turnovers. Kirk Cousins getting the start here with an injured Michael Penix Jr. Cousins, 173 yards. That's it. No tutties, no picks. He had 173 yards. This man, Tua Tagovailoa, had one eye. He had one eye in this game. He had some sort of eye infection issue going on. He was even making jokes during the game after throwing touchdown passes about having one eye. He was going like this and looking around, making a joke. The Falcons got freaking embarrassed. This is the worst loss of the season. This is a worse loss than I think the Bengals. Oh, man. It's close. Let me ask you, which loss is worse? Is the Dolphins, or is the, let me ask you. I'm restarting here. Which loss is worse? Is the Falcons' loss worse, or is the Bengals' loss worse? Falcons got blown out in their own building to Miami. Bengals also in their own building, lose and give the Jets their first win of the season. You tell me which loss is worse. To me, it's the Falcons' loss. It really is. I mean, this man Tua was dicing up this Falcons team however he wanted to. He was having a little appetizer over here. He was making some pasta over here, cooking up a little main course. He had dessert already ready to go in the freezer, and he was just taking a bite out of everything, piece by piece. The Dolphins dominated this football game. They had 4 different guys here with a touchdown. Defense held Bijan Robinson to 48 total yards. If I had told you on Saturday, Friday, whatever day last week, that Bijan Robinson, against the worst rushing defense in the NFL, would have 48 total yards, not just rushing yards, total yards, what would you have told me? You probably would have turned off the show. You probably would have unfollowed me. And I wouldn't have blamed you. I would not have blamed you. Yet here we are. I mean, what? The Atlanta Falcons, I'm going to give you a little preview to a later segment of the top 5 most confusing teams. They're on that list. Somewhere in there. They're on there. Got to wait to later in the show until I get to that. Tua was sacked 1 time. They had no turnovers. They only had 4 penalties. And they win 34-10. Complete domination. This is the NFL. Week in and week out, anybody can beat anyone, and you never know when it's going to freaking happen. This is the NFL. This is why I love the sport. This is why we talk only NFL. This is why I do this show. For reasons like this, you never know what's going to happen. That is why we do this show. For the love of the game and for the love that any given week, anybody can beat anybody. Speaking of that, we move on. The 1-7 Jets defeat the now 3-5 Bengals. Jets win 39-38. What in the world is going on? The Dolphins go in Atlanta, blow out the Falcons. The Jets go into Cincinnati, crawl back for Aaron Glenn's first win. What is going on? Justin Fields, 244 yards and 1 touchdown. Joe Flacco, 223 yards and 2 touchdowns. This game also had 0 turnovers. Interesting that the Bengals and Jets forced 0 turnovers. Little interesting note there, given that, especially the Jets offense, it's been a turnover machine this year for the most part. Jets were down 31-16 going into the fourth quarter and scored a TD on 3 straight drives to end the game. Credit. I mean, you got to give so much credit here to the New York Jets. Yes, they're awful. Yes, they're 1-7. Yes, their organization from top to bottom is dysfunctional and very much poorly put together from a roster standpoint, I think from a coaching standpoint, altogether. But Jets fans rejoice. You got your win, and it was a gritty win. This was a game they were absolutely should not have won. It's not like they're playing the Saints, not like they're playing the Dolphins. I mean, this was a Bengals team coming off a much-needed victory against the Steelers the week before. You go into their building without a win on the season, and you climb back from down 15 to win the game. Lots of credit to Aaron Glenn and the New York Jets here. Breece Hall had 3 total touchdowns in this game, 1 passing. He's included in that. We have talked on the show about the Bengals' biggest weakness all season, right? From week 1. What did that tell you in week 1? What did that tell you in week 2? What did that tell you in week 3? Even with, obviously, the biggest storyline from them is Joe Burrow being out basically the entire season. But something we've repeated every single week, especially off the rip, preseason predictions, the Bengals' biggest problem was going to be that defense. And I really thought it was going to be the secondary. Secondary is still not good, really by any means. But their lack of ability to get pressure. Hendrickson exited this game. I got to wait for more news on his injury. He left early. And their inability to rush the passer was their absolute dagger. And you're also giving up 39 in your own building to the New York Jets. Just awful. I mean, they had 0 sacks in this game. They had no interceptions. And they had 4 pass deflections. That's it. No sacks, no picks, 4 PDs. That's it. I mean, just grit, hearts by the New York Jets in honor of Nick Mangold, RIP. Phenomenal Jets player, passed away on Sunday. Terrible situation. It felt like they won it for him, which is, very touching. That's what sports is all about. Very, very sad news coming out of New York, but what a win for the New York Jets. And I'll end with this on this game. I had a buddy on Saturday night, out in Austin, having fun, doing whatever. I had a buddy ask me, he goes, Swank, could the Bengals make the playoffs? Like, in an optimistic voice, he asked me, you think the Bengals can make a little playoff run? This was on Saturday, before the game. I immediately said, no. No. I didn't think they were going to sniff it. On Saturday, I'm sitting here on Monday night telling you I still don't think they're going to sniff it. They are better with Flacco than they were with Browning. Don't get me wrong. But they're giving up way too many points. Way too many points. And we all knew their biggest problem was going to be defense. I mean, we all knew it. And they bring in Hendrickson, but that's not enough. Especially now he's out with injury. Now what are you going to do? The Bengals are probably going to be giving up 25-plus points per game now. Hopefully he's not out for an extended period of time. But, I mean, there it is. The answer is no. I said it on Saturday. I'm obviously sitting up here saying again, after you lose to the Jets in your own building, the Bengals are not making the playoffs. Not a playoff-worthy team in a similar fashion to how Dallas is not a caliber or playoff caliber team. You need defense to some extent in the NFL. It's really that simple. At some level on defense, you have to be at least mediocre. Whether it's your secondary, whether it's your pass rush. At some level, to do anything successfully in a season, you have to have a level of at least mediocrity on defense. And the Bengals do not have that. Especially with Hendrickson out. They do not. Zach Taylor, hot seat conversation. Starting to heat up. I'm not saying he needs to be fired yet. It's starting to heat up. Jets get the win. Unbelievable fashion. They win 39-38. We move on. The Cleveland Browns go to New England and take an L. Browns move to 2-6. Patriots move to 6-2. I'll flat out say it. What do I always say on this show? I take accountability. I'm taking accountability right now. I was wrong. I was very much wrong about this game. I thought Cleveland was going to give New England very much a run for their money. I thought they were going to keep it close with that defensive front. And I thought the Browns were going to cover. I thought I liked the under here. I was wrong all over. The first half, I was absolutely perfectly right. Couldn't have been a better first half for me in my prediction, in my bets. Then the second half came along, blew up right in my face. Pats win. 32-13. Drake May, 282 yards and 3 touchdowns. He has now moved to third in MVP odds. Second year QB with first year head coach Drake May is now third in MVP odds. Dylan Gabriel in this game, 156 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Oh, man. His first pick, I believe it was his first pick, whatever pick it was immediately when the second half started, was very bad. No idea where that ball was going. It was a very bad throw. The Shedeur rumblings have started to pick up a bit. We'll see how those play along over the coming weeks. Pats give up 68 rushing yards in this game. They are so elite. The Pats' rushing defense is so elite with Barmore, Milton Williams, Tonga, Harold Landry. They're the best rushing defense in the NFL. They are the best rushing defense in the NFL. And for teams that have played all 8 games, so teams that have not had a bye yet, statistically, they are the best rush defense in the NFL. For every team in the NFL, including teams with a bye, they're second in the league behind Seattle, who did not play this week. New England's rush attack has been fantastic all season long, and it showed here. 68 rushing yards given up on the ground. Pure dominance. That group has been fantastic. Very fun to watch, in honesty. Very, very fun to watch. I mean, the Patriots were just dominant here in the second half. Brown's second half drive chart. You ready for it? Here we go. The second half for the Cleveland Browns went like this. Punt. Interception. Interception. Downs. Touchdown. Hey. Safety. Downs. Punt. Pick. Downs. Touchdown. Yay. Safety. Downs. 2 downs, 2 picks, a punt. And a tutty in there. Yikes. Cleveland, you got a problem. Cleveland, you've had a problem. Not only is you're paying Deshaun Watson too much money, he's not even playing problem. Not only is it your entire offense is atrocious problem. Not only is it you cannot really do anything right offensively, but outside of Quinshon Judkins, who is now dinged up day to day. Cleveland, yeah, let's figure out. Drake May and the Pats are rolling. They moved to 6-2. And man, I called the Pats to start either 7-1 or 6-2. Go check out the socials. I posted that video earlier on Monday evening. Go check out that video. I called it. Drake May, Mike Vrabel, the Pats are freaking rolling. They've won, I believe, 5 straight now. Drake May, as he should be, third in MVP, like I mentioned. New England is dangerous. Look out. Because they have an easy schedule for the most part down the stretch. They're here to make some noise. They're already making noise, and they are going to be a playoff team. And I hate to say I called it, but I did. Go and check the socials. We move forward. The New York Giants were taking on the Philadelphia Eagles for the second time in 3 weeks. The Giants fall to 2-6. The Eagles move to 6-2. We all saw this one coming. At least I did. And I'm sure 90% of you out there probably predicted, betted on, and also saw this coming. Eagles win 38-20. Jalen Hurts, 179 yards and 4 touchdowns. This man statistically is on pace to have his best passing season of his career. He showed that this week with a 4-touchdown performance. Saquon Barkley, 150 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. He left early with a little bit of a lower leg injury. Maybe it was a quad or hamstring, one of the two. And he could have gone back in the game, but at that point, the game was put away. Barkley, his best game of the season. He also had his longest rush of the season. Found pay dirt twice, 150 yards, great game for him. Jackson Dart, 193 yards and 1 touchdown. Obviously, though, the big storyline coming out of this game, Cam Scatterbo, dislocated, gruesome ankle injury. Prayers to Cam Scatterbo. It's so sad to see. I mean, a young player providing so much spark and pop and bringing, honestly, the city of New York and the team of New York, the New York Giants, together. Him and Dart. The little stepbrother combo, is what they appeared to be. And really sad injury for them. I'm sure Scatterbo would come back better than ever. Speedy recovery to him. Really sad. Sad, gruesome injury there. Hopefully he gets better fast because the New York Giants are a much better football team with him, not only from a production standpoint, but from a chemistry and just a pure bond of the team. So hopefully he gets, healed up quickly. But, man, you got to feel for the Giants. Given that. And You can at least see the vision, though. You can see the positive momentum and the positive, even attitude, just not only from a fan standpoint, but from a team. I mean, it looked like for the past 4 weeks, they've had life. With Dart at the helm, with Scatterbo, they beat the Eagles. They've had life. Like, they did. Scatterbo, obviously now out for season, just such a blow to this team. Dart is just got to try to stay alive now. He lacks a lot of weapons at this point. Neighbors is gone. Scatterbo's gone. It's just Dart back there, probably now running for his life. And he's been playing pretty well. You got to feel for the Giants, but at least you can see the vision for the first time in a few years. The Eagles, when Hurts plays clean, the Eagles are just so damn balanced. They're so balanced. And it's just a pretty dominant showing here. Like I said, Hurts 4 touchdowns. Barkley had 2 himself, got going on the run game. Defense played really well for the Eagles. There's solid showing here. There's really not much else to touch on besides a solid showing and a well-deserved win for the Philadelphia Eagles. You continue to show that they're still the dominant force in the NFC, right there along with Green Bay. It's a 1-2 punch right there. But we need to talk about this. The tush push. Everybody knows what the tush push is. Lots of people are not for it. Some people are still for it. I'll tell you this. I still like that the tush push is allowed in the NFL. I think it should never be taken away. It does need to be more regulated. It needs to be more focused on by officiating in terms of our offensive lineman moving too soon. Is a false start occurring? All those type of things. I think those need to be watched, right? But I have always been pro tush push because I believe if you can master something so beautifully like they have, and albeit it's annoying when they do it over and over again, but if that's your team, you love that play because you found something that nobody else can do to your level. That is a freaking cheat code, but you're not breaking any rules when done correctly. But that's the thing, right? When it's done correctly. So I understand why from the play itself people are frustrated. I've always been one that has backed the tush push. I'm still backing it to always be allowed in the NFL. Teams got to find a way to stop it. If you can't stop it, you try to do it. Except teams have and they can't. So I've been for keeping the tush push. I still think that should be around and it should never be banned. Again, there still needs to be some regulation to it. Speaking of that regulation, I'm sure a lot of people saw this, but Jalen Hurts, tush push, dives forward. Right after he's diving forward, he stretches that ball out across the goal line. For the first down, across just the first down marker. Stretches that ball, pile still chopping, moving, offensive line still moving. He reaches out for it, and the Giants stripped that ball right from him for a fumble. And that was a complete fumble. And the refs saying they blew dead forward progress. One of the worst calls I've seen in several weeks in the NFL. Look, there's a lot of gray lines with this tush push, right? Everybody knows there's a big gray area with the tush push. Everybody knows that. But if you're a QB sneaking and the pile is still moving and you as the quarterback are not remotely down, still chopping your feet and trying to reach the ball forward for a first down, if a player goes in there and grabs it and just takes it and rips the ball from you, that should absolutely be a fumble. Dabo was fired up this game about all the calls that were occurring. I can't really blame him. It's kind of funny to see, honestly. But can't blame him there. That needs to be a fumble. There needs to be more regulation about this tush push. Had to talk about that because that pissed me off. That should have been a fumble. Regardless, Eagles get a big-time win. Result probably wouldn't have changed much. Eagles win 38-20. The Buffalo Bills also get a win here. They moved to 5-2. They were at the Panthers. Panthers fall to 4-4. Bills win 40-9. Complete ass kicking here by Josh Allen and company. Allen, 3 total touchdowns. He had 2 on the ground in this game. Cook. Let him cook. James Cook, 216 rushing yards. Not total yards. Rushing yards in this game in two touchdowns. Andy Dalton, the Red Rocket, 175 yards and 1 interception and was sacked 7 times. The Rocket started to go up to leave that the first ring of the atmosphere, and usually my middle school / high school education would be paying off here because I should know what that's called, and I don't. So the Rocket had a little bit of fuel in it, First few plays, it's like, oh, let's see what Dalton can do. And then the rocket just immediately splashed back down in the ocean. This was rough. This was a rough watch. A very, very hard watch. And, sacked 7 times, 175 yards. Couldn't get anything going. He was having trouble even taking some snaps. Rough, poor outing here by the Carolina Panthers. All around. And the weird thing about this game is that the logistics of this game very much flipped in the run game. You went into this game knowing that the Bills had given up, I believe, the second most rushing yards in the NFL, whereas the Panthers' rushing defense the past 3 weeks especially has been very strong. Very, very strong. Held the Javonte Williams and the Cowboys to not a lot of yards. Held the Jets to not a lot of rushing yards whatsoever. They had been very, very strong in the running game defensively. This game, they give up 216 alone, on the ground alone, to James Cook. And they give up 40. Just very poor performance here from the Carolina Panthers. Panthers also had 2 fumbles and a missed field goal. They were down 16 at the half. Just such a classic Josh Allen bounce back win here. Bad news, though, for the Bills. Ed Oliver out for a good amount of time, I believe with a torn pec. Huge loss for them. Very, very big loss for them. But on the flip side, they did get good news. I believe it was on Sunday. First-round pick Maxwell Hairston from Kentucky, CB, activated and is getting back, ramped up, ready to make his debut for the season. So sad news there with Ed Oliver. Big blow to that defense. That being said, they get Hairston coming back maybe this or next week. That's good for them. Bills, it's just a classic bounce-back Josh Allen win. Not much else to it here. He was running all over the field, but it was a James Cook masterclass. One of the best rushing performances of the season. The Bills, we all knew they were going to come out firing. From their lackluster performances to the bye week. They had 2 weeks to prep for this game. Beautiful spot for Buffalo to get the bounce back. They do it in a big-time way on the ground. Buffalo wins 40-9. The Chicago Bears go into Baltimore and drop a big game. Bears moved to 4-3. Ravens moved to 2-5, and an absolutely back against the wall must-win game. Snoop Huntley. Can't believe his name is Snoop, by the way. Very interesting that he changed his name from Tyler to Snoop. Huntley, over 230 yards in this game, total yards, and 1 touchdown. Derrick Henry with 2 touchdowns here. Caleb Williams, 285 yards and an interception, no touchdowns. Ravens must need a W, and they get it done. Caleb in this game just didn't look like he was in full command. Scrambling over, but he just looked a little frantic, and he's kind of looked like that all season. And when you're winning, it's not a big deal. When you're losing and throwing no touchdowns, it's a much bigger deal and a much bigger situation. He's still very young. He's in year 2. He's in a different system than he was in last year. Very young, very raw, very emotional player. And it's evident, though, it feels like he just doesn't have that comfort. That comfort level's not there for him yet, right? It's that second year feel for him where he's just flat out, he doesn't have the command that maybe other guys have had in year 2 that you would like to see. But that's a relatively common thing. Year 2, you're not supposed to have some big-time command, especially in his second year in the league when it's his second system in 2 years with a new head coach, with all that going on. I'm not trying to put any hate or any blame here on Caleb. At some point, though, he's got to start to settle in and look a bit more comfortable. Be that leader that you need, no matter what, right? Like, he has that poise where, they may not win this game, but at least he's going to look like he is, from a mentality and confidence standpoint, the guy. I think from a talent standpoint, he's absolutely the guy in Chicago. I've believed in Caleb all year. I believed in him last year. He's the guy in Chicago. Pretty soon, though, I think people are going to start to want to see him have that poise, have that leadership ability where you feel calm, confident, and relaxed when watching him, right? You see that with guys like Josh Allen. He could be having a rough game, and, you could even be losing the game. But you always feel confident in what he can do. And Caleb just looked a little frantic, looked a little not fully in command in this game. They settled for too many field goals. The first quarter, They ran 24 plays on 2 drives. I believe their first drive had 13, the second drive had 11. 24 plays in the first quarter alone on just 2 drives and ate up over or almost 13 minutes of clock. The Bears in the first quarter had almost a 13-minute time of possession out of 15 minutes. 24 plays, yet they settled for 2 field goals. Kind of the story of the game for them. Settling for field goals here. Ravens have played 5 of their first 7 games at home. They have not won a road game. So they're 0-2 on the road, 2-3 at home. They moved to 2-5 on the season. Time to see what they're actually made of. This is a much-needed win for them. Huntley and Derrick Henry had a very successful day together. Defense played very well for the Ravens, given the Bears, firepower with Rome Odunze, DeAndre Swift, other weapons of that matter. They did a great job limiting Caleb and what Ben Johnson could do on Sunday. Kudos to them. They're getting healthier. They are now favored again to win the AFC North, given the Steelers' implosion. It's back-to-back losses. Not quite an implosion, but getting there for the Steelers. Ravens moved to 2-5. Much-needed victory for them. 0-2 on the road. They have played 5 of their first 7 games at home. Here comes the test. I'm going to flat out tell you yet again, like I've been saying for weeks, it's over for Baltimore. Me saying it's over, I mean the Ravens are not making the playoffs. That has been my take for several weeks. And yet they're favored to win the AFC North still. Big test. Thursday night, they go to Miami. Big test because they haven't won a road game this year because we have no idea what this team can still potentially look like. They're probably going to go win at Miami. But on the road, Thursday Night Football, the way Miami just played, who knows? Especially with the way the Ravens have played all season. Never know. Big game for Baltimore coming up. Really, they have to almost win out. They could drop one more. 9-7, I don't know if or 9-8, I don't think gets you in. Maybe. The Ravens essentially have to win out. They can lose max 2 more games. And a lot of them are going to be coming up on the road now. Let's see what the Ravens are made of. Ravens win 30-16. Moving along here to the 3 o'clock slate. It was rough. So these games are remaining pretty quick in some recap. The 6-2, Bucks move to 6-2. Saints fall to 1-7. I will put my hand up here yet again. I was wrong. This was my upset spot. I liked the Saints here in this matchup. Given the Bucks were beaten up, trying to limp into the bye week. It's Saints at home. You saw Miami do it. You saw the Jets do it. This was my upset. I missed. We take accountability. I missed. Bucks win 23-3. This game was so ugly. One of the ugliest games of the year. Mayfield, 152 yards and a fumble. That's it from Baker. Spencer Rattler, benched for Tyler Shuck in the third quarter. Obviously no touchdowns from them. Saints turned the ball over 4 times in this game, with one going for a touchdown by the Buccaneers. Saints running game has been a major problem this year. They are bottom 10 in rush yards. Could not get anything going here on the ground with Kamara, with Neal. And it's not news and it's not a take. The Saints are just really, really hard to watch. They are a very hard team to watch this year. Super monotonous, identity-less offense. You got a few pieces on defense that you like to watch play, but man, it's just a rough going for the New Orleans Saints. They got a long ways to go. Very, very long ways to go. Bucks get a bye week now in a perfect spot to get healthy again. They had Evans is out for probably almost all the season. Godwin could be maybe back after the bye. Egbuka played in this game, but he's been a little dinged up. Bucky Irving's probably going to be back after the bye. Perfect spot for them to get their bye week. Bucks rolled. They moved to 6-2. Saints fall to 1-7. And credit to that Buccaneers defense for stepping up all game long. They were flying all over the field, created 4 turnovers, got a touchdown. Kudos to that Bucs defense, rebounding from what was a poor performance against the Lions in a tough game on the road at Detroit. Can't really blame them. They bounced back in a big-time way. Bucs still look like they could absolutely be at the top of the NFC. They are 6-2. They are close to the top of the NFC. Bucs need a much needed bye. Saints continue to struggle. Now we roll into one of the highest scoring games of the Week 8 slate. The Dallas Cowboys fall to 3-4, and here we go. They fall to 3-4-1. The Denver Broncos move to 6-2 on the season. Broncos roll 44-24. Bo Nix, 247 yards and 4 touchdowns in this game with 1 interception. J.K. Dobbins, 111 rush yards. Harvey, the rookie, 2 touchdowns in this game. Dak Prescott, 188 yards and 2 interceptions. His worst game of the season. He was, I believe, statistically, one of the worst quarterbacks of the Week 8 slate via passer rating. Rough outing for Dak and co. There honestly isn't even too much to touch on here in this game because you see the score, and that's really all she wrote. Dallas, all season long. It's a broken record here with Dallas's defense. Every week I give you these big numbers, and I could ask, hey, what defense do you think this is? You'd probably guess Dallas as one of them. Miami, maybe another. Just so many holes on that defense. And it starts with the pass rush, not being able to get home. It starts with injuries in the secondary. It's atrocious. It really is one of the worst defenses I've seen in the past 5 years. Across the league. It's been that bad for Dallas. It's been terrible. So, Dak had his worst game of the season. Cowboys defense continues to be horrifying to watch. Their defense, 3rd most rush yards given up in the NFL, and the most passing yards also given up in the NFL. The Broncos, they can compete with anybody in the AFC 100%, all about the offensive consistency. Their last 2 games, Denver's past 2 games, they have combined for 77 points. In their previous 4 combined, they had 82 points. So in the 2 games they've just played, they put up almost as many as they had in their previous 4 altogether. They got to find some more offensive consistency. They put together 2 really strong weeks. Now they next week travel to Houston, who take on one of the best defenses in the NFL. What a game that's going to be. A little top 5 D versus top 5 D. Pat Surtain could be out, placed on IR, potentially. Big blow for them. If so, Denver, if they can go into Houston this week and put up some damn points, there's no reason they can't be put into winning the AFC conversations and making a trip to the bowl. If they go into Houston and have offensive success throughout the game, they could absolutely be a favorite to win the AFC. We'll see. Dak Prescott and company have a lot to figure out. When the offense stalls, there's just literally no way for them to win a football game with how poor that defense is. They're supposed to be, quote, buyers at the trade deadline. If they are, they better be buying a damn unit of a defense. Making a trade for an entire new defense because they got a lot of holes on that side. Broncos win 44-24. We move on to the last game of the 3 o'clock window. Indianapolis Colts move to 7-1. Titans fall to 1-7. Colts win 38-14. Daniel Jones, Indiana damn Jones, a top 5 MVP candidate. He is now 5th, I believe, in MVP odds. And rightfully so. 272 yards through the air and 3 touchdowns for Danny Dimes here. Jonathan Taylor, he needs to be higher in the MVP conversations. But now it's become a complete quarterback award. It's like the Heisman. Very hard to win the MVP if you're not a quarterback. Jonathan Taylor, though, should be up there. In this game, 12.8 yards per carry. 12.8 yards per carry. 2 touchdowns, 153 yards on the ground on 12 carries. My God. Right now, he's having the 2nd best season ever, fantasy-wise, for a running back. Behind McCaffrey, I believe, in 2019? Whatever year McCaffrey went absolutely ballistic, he's right behind him on points per game fantasy-wise. Right behind him. He's having one of the best seasons of all time for a running back. Michael Pittman in this game, 95 yards and a tutty. Cam Ward on the flip side, 259 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. I mean, the Tennessee Titans, not much to touch on. They're in need of a new head coach. They're in need of everything new except for quarterback. Defense is abysmal. Offensive line is not very good. Their weapons on the outside are terrible. Tyler Lockett literally requested a trade or to be released just to then go and play with Geno Smith and the damn Raiders. He didn't upgrade. It's not an upgrade. He just wanted out of Tennessee, and you can't even blame him. Titans are a train wreck. That's been known. The Colts are the best team in the NFL. That has officially been known, at least for the past 3 weeks now. I mean, it's a broken record over here. Flip side from the Dallas defense being a broken record with, how many points? 40, 45? Oh, wow. The Colts are putting that up on offense. That's what the broken record has been for the Indianapolis Colts. I'm just repeating myself week in and week out. Oh, Jonathan Taylor did this. Oh, Daniel Jones did this. Oh, they put up 38 points. Or they put up 40 points. They put up 37 points. The Colts are the best team in the NFL. They have the most points per game this year by 3 points per game. Just domination. They are so solid on all 3 phases. The Indianapolis Colts are absolutely rolling. They are the best team in the NFL. They could absolutely make it to the bowl this year the way they've been playing. Their schedule does get tougher from here on out. They've had a relatively, I don't want to say easy. I mean, they played Denver. They played the Rams. Do not want to say they played the Chargers. That's not easy by any means. But it does get harder for them moving forward. That being said, they're the best team in the NFL. I expect them to continue to execute at an extremely high level and put Jonathan Taylor in the damn MVP conversation. Why don't you? We move on to Sunday Night Football. This Chiefs game going on right now. Chiefs-Commanders is tied 0-0 with 13 minutes to go in the second quarter. Mahomes just threw a pick. Well, it hit right off Travis Kelce's hand. Oh, boink! Right off Travis Kelce's hands into the hands of, I believe that's Bobby Wagner. Commanders keeping this game alive. We'll see how this ages whenever you're listening, of course. Sunday Night Football. Green Bay traveling to take on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Packers move to 5-1-1. Steelers fall to 4-3. Packers win 35-25. Jordan Love, 360 yards and 3 touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers, 219 yards and 2 touchdowns. Tucker Kraft on National Tight Ends Day. Happy National Tight End Day. Woohoo, woohoo. 143 yards and 2 touchdowns in this game. Josh Jacobs, only 33 rushing yards and a touchdown. Something to note. Is there a little 1-2 punch now in Green Bay? Maybe so. There's a little competition back there. Keep an eye on it. Packers win 35-25. Green Bay scored on 5 straight second half possessions. The Steelers secondary continues to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Trash. They have given up the 4th most passing yards in the NFL. The Pittsburgh Steelers, led by Mike Tomlin and TJ Watt and, Jalen Ramsey, and Porter, and Darius Slay, have given up the 4th most passing yards in the NFL this year. Very uncharacteristic Steelers defense this season. Where is that identity? Where is that AFC North, dirty, I'm going to hit you hard, I'm going to make you bleed type of mentality from the Pittsburgh Steelers? It's been a very weird season for them. A lot of highs and recently a lot of lows for that defense, for that secondary, for that team who is the oldest team in the NFL. I believe the oldest defense in the NFL. Secondary's got a lot of holes, even with players like Ramsey and Slay and Porter. Steelers' schedule moving forward is not very easy. Not very easy. The Packers, on the other hand, are very, very good. And last week, I thought it was going to be their week. They fully established that against the Cardinals. They didn't. They won the game, but they didn't. This time, on prime time, all eyes on them, on the road. Aaron Rodgers trying to make it where he's defeated every single team in the NFL throughout his career. He has defeated 31 teams. Green Bay remains the one he has not beaten, and he may never beat, given that the clock's ticking on his career. Packers reminded America how dominant they are. Not me, because I've known and believed in this team from week 1. And even when they tied to Dallas, even when they had the bye week and everybody forgot about them, seemingly forgot about them, I've been very high on the Green Bay Packers this season. They showed in a bright spot, in a big-time way, that they are the best team in the NFC. They are the best team in the NFC. They're very much complete. And when Jordan Love plays like that, I do think they are unstoppable. He had, for a second there, like an absurd completion stretch. He played his best game of the season, his cleanest game of the season. And I touched on that last week. I said, I want to see Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur open it up. Use Tucker Kraft. Use Matthew Golden. Use whoever it is. Use Jacobs in the passing game. Whoever. I wanted to see Jordan Love open it up. And it was a good spot for him. And man, was I right about something. Thank God. In a week 8 that was full of blowouts and full of bad bets by me, at least I was right about a few things. This was one of them. Green Bay looks dominant. Green Bay gets the dub. They move to 5-1-1 and NFC first place 5-1-1. They look dominant as ever. Steelers, a lot of question marks with a lot of tough games coming forward. They want a wide receiver apparently, or trying to get a wide receiver before the trade deadline next Tuesday. They need to address secondary because without that, they're not going to go far. Packers get the win, 35-25, and that wraps up our Week 8 review. It was a very interesting week. Not a lot of barn burners, not a ton of super exciting close games. But in the NFL, as you know, anything can happen. And we saw that this week with the Jets, saw it with the Dolphins, saw it in a few other games. Solid Week 8, nothing crazy. I'm really looking forward to Week 9 and looking forward to the future of this 2025 season. But speaking of the 2025 season, there's been several teams that have got me dumbfounded, confused, lots of question marks circling around them. Let's now talk about and rank my 5 teams that are the most confusing so far in the NFL for the 2025 season. Let's do it. Coming in at number 5 for my most confusing team in the NFL so far in the 2025 season, my 5th most confusing team, the Carolina Panthers. Because we've seen great things from Carolina, and then we've seen some really poor performances from Carolina. Defensively, it's a freaking seesaw. It's going up and it's going down, it's going up, it's going down. Bills ran all over them this week. And that was supposed to be their strength of their defense, was the rushing attack on defense, stopping the run. Consecutive weeks, they've been doing that at a very high level. This week, Josh Allen and James Cook ran all over them. On the table. Nuts on table. Ran all over them. Running back room also makes me question and it makes me very confused. Chuba Hubbard's back from injury. They paid him in the offseason. Rico Dowdle has been going off this year, as everybody knows, and has been a very productive and has brought a lot of pop to this team. That's why I'm confused about Carolina. Defensively, seesaw. Offensively, the running back room, what are they going to do? You paid Hubbard. And a quote from, I believe it was Dave Canales, was it today or yesterday, whatever it was, he was like, yeah, we paid Chuba, but man, it's hard to not give Dowdle carries. It's like, what are you trying to say? They're confused on how to use that running back room. So the running back room's brought a little confusion. The defensive front has brought confusion for me because you got games like Atlanta where they blew them out of the water, and then you got games like this where they get torn to shreds. Carolina is my 5th most confusing team so far this season. Number 4, maybe a surprising one to some, the Jaguars. Jaguars are confusing to me, the 4th most confusing team, because the Brian Thomas Jr. fall-off is one of them. This man, as a rookie, had one of the best seasons of any wide receiver last year. Then you bring in Liam Cohen, an offensive guru from Tampa Bay, who's supposed to elevate Brian Thomas's game. You have fine O-line pieces over there. You got Trevor still. You got, a few. You got Strange at tight end. You got ETN, who still has some pop and some life to him, I guess. Yet Brian Thomas Jr. has had a very poor year. Not only from a pure production standpoint, but from a skill standpoint. Dropping balls he shouldn't be dropping. Running routes he should be, I guess, just running better. I mean, I should probably use a more sophisticated podcast tone there. Flat out, Brian Thomas has not been playing well. And that's been a very interesting mark based off what I saw last year from him. So he's fallen off a bit. The constant They can run, then they can't throw, but then they can throw, but then they can't run on offense. So very much an offensive inconsistency in a Liam Cohen offense that's supposed to be humming at a higher rate, in my personal opinion. Along with the Brian Thomas Jr. fall off, I have them at number 4 for my most confusing team so far. Number 3, the Pittsburgh Steelers. One of the worst performing secondaries in recent memory. Not only this year, not only the past 3 years, but for the Steelers organization. One of their worst secondaries in recent memory. Very uncharacteristic of them. You always know the Steelers, their identity to be reliant in that defense when needed. This season very much has been not that way. And you brought in Slay and you brought in Ramsey for a reason. Poor performing all around. Offensively, you go and trade for a guy like Metcalf. Okay, great. Then what? What do they have after Metcalf? Freiermuth? Calvin Austin? Washington at tight end? They are in the market for a wide receiver. That's what's been buzzing around before the trade deadline happens. They are in the market for a wide receiver. But I question that because I think they should be more in the market for a CB. If they have any remote aspirations of going far in the playoffs or even winning their division and maintaining that hold on what has been a very piss-poor division through 8 weeks. Let's see what they do. But they're my third most confusing team because defensively, where's the identity go? It's completely gone. It's out the window. Mike Tomlin, very unlike him in his long tenure there. Never seen a defense like this with him. Number 2, this is where it gets really real. The Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings are my second most confusing team of the 2025 season. I have no clue what or who this team is. Defensively and offensively, they continue to be inconsistent. Because they've had a few solid defensive games, but Brian Flores, this Vikings defense had high expectations, not only from me, but from a lot of people. And with reason. They got Grenard over there. They got some good secondary pieces over there. Brian Flores leads this defense, and he is a very talented defensive coordinator. This was supposed to be a top 5 defense. They've had 1 or 2 weeks where they've looked like it. The other 5, 6 weeks have very much not looked like it. I've expected a lot more from that Minnesota defense, and it's been very inconsistent. Offensively, obviously, the McCarthy coming in, McCarthy going out, the Wentz going in, the Wentz going out that we talked about earlier in the show, right? Aaron Jones going out, Aaron Jones coming back in. They can't run the ball whatsoever on the Chargers. Jordan Addison was suspended. I have no read on this team whatsoever. Defensively and offensively continue to be inconsistent. They've had defensive games where they've given up 10 and they've given up 17 points. And then they just gave up 37 to the Chargers. They've had offensively, they have scored 48 points in a game. The Vikings this season scored 48 in a game. Granted, that defense had a big part to do with that, but they still scored 48 points. And then they have games scoring 6 points. They're all over the board. It's like going out with your buddies, having a bunch of beers, throwing a blindfold on you, spinning you around 10 times, and throwing a dart at a dartboard. It could land outside the bar. That's what it feels like trying to assess and predict this Minnesota Vikings team this season. And I understand injuries have played a role in that. But with Kevin O'Connell and with Brian Flores, I believe in that system. Haven't really shown a lot of potential so far this year. And I understand injuries factor in. I would like to see more, but I'm left confused by that team as a whole. And number 1, the most confusing team so far of the 2025 season, the Atlanta Falcons, the clear number 1 most confusing team. This is a different team every single week. They started off the season scoring 20 points and 22 points in back-to-back games. Okay. Then they put up a blank against the Panthers. 0 points against the Carolina Panthers. Then what do? They go and put up 34 and 24 in back-to-back weeks in 2 wins against the Commanders and the Bills, two quality opponents, the Bills especially. Then what do? They put up 10 points, and they put up 10 points again in back-to-back weeks and back-to-back losses. Offensively alone, what are the Atlanta Falcons? I got no idea. Nobody knows. Everybody knows that this team is capable of being successful. Everybody knows this team has a lot of talent across the board, offensively and defensively. Pierce, Terrell, Penix, Bijan, Pitts, London. There's a lot of weapons. A lot of mouths to feed. It's a good problem to have. Bad problem to have when your offense has that much inconsistency. And I get it, Kirk Cousins started this game. I get it. But my freaking God, you were playing the Miami Dolphins, who had the worst rushing defense in the NFL, and you ran the ball for what? Was it even 60 yards? Even with Cousins in, you should have been able to run the ball all over them with a top 3 back in Bijan against the worst rushing defense in the NFL. Makes no sense. Defensively, they have given up 6 points and 14 points in 2 games this year. And then they've also given up their most all season to the Dolphins in 34 points. It's a different team every single week with the Atlanta Falcons. I don't know how to assess them. I don't. You go and beat the Bills and you manhandle them, honestly, especially in the running game. Completely shut them down. Then you go and let Tua Tagovailoa throw for 4 touchdowns on you? You didn't cause a single turnover? Makes no sense. Makes no sense. None whatsoever. Raheem Morris, Zach Robinson, Jeff Ulbrich need to get this thing figured out in a consistent manner. Because the Falcons are too damn talented to be losing in their own building by 24 points to what was a 1-win Miami Dolphins. Those are my 5 most confusing teams. Panthers 5, Jaguars 4, Steelers 3, Vikings 2, Falcons 1, coming in at the most confusing team in the NFL this year. Let's see if they can turn that tide and change that as the year progresses. Let's watch. We wrap up the show now reviewing our Swanks Banks from Week 8, and it was an ugly week. I'll just be honest. It was an ugly week. We went 1-5 in Week 8 on our bets. Season record moves to 25-23. Hey, 2 games above 500. Okay. Still positive money on the season. Okay. We take that. I had 49ers money line as my Swank Tank. Swank Tank now moves to 3-5. Swank Tank is my favorite bet of every week of the 6, and that moves to 3-5 on the season. 49ers money line did not even get close to getting it done. Browns +7 looked great, blew up in the second half. Browns Pats under 40.5 looked great again, blew up in the second half. Saints money line was over after the first quarter. Eagles money line, that one was an easy lock. But Miami, Atlanta over 44.5. The Dolphins scored 34, and the over did not hit. It missed by half a point. They scored 44 total points, and I had 44.5. Vegas always knows. They always know. We go 1-5 in Week 8 on Swanks Banks, but we're still above 500. And that leads us now into Week 9. We will be recapping the Chiefs-Commanders game on Thursday's morning episode. Appreciate you tuning in, as always, to the Swank Tank. Appreciate you following all the way along in this episode. If you made it all the way, please go and follow on all the socials at the Swank Tank. Leave a review, leave a comment. I'll make sure to comment back. Appreciate you making it all the way. Week 8's in the rearview mirror basically now outside of Monday Night Football. The bets are behind us. The games are behind us. Week 9 is going to be our week. I can feel it. We got some really good matchups in Week 9 I'm excited about. Some tough calls to make. Week 9 is going to be our week. I know it. Stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for Thursday morning episode. Hope you enjoy your Monday Night Football whenever you're watching or listening, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever it is. Hope you're having a great start to your week. Week 9 is on the horizon, and we will see you then. Have a good one.